This is a photo of a powwow from the Monacan Indian Nation out there in Lynchburg, Virginia. I have seen people who are reclassified as African American. I've seen them in these powwows. People darker than him. It doesn't matter if it's the Narragansett, doesn't matter if it's the Monacan, it doesn't matter if it's the Wampanoag, doesn't matter if it's the Shinnecock, doesn't matter if it's the Yamasee, doesn't matter if it's the Yuchi. I've always seen these tribes on the East Coast have people of African descent. Even if it's the Lumbee, I've always seen people who have been reclassified as African American in these tribes. And you still have people today who would say, oh, African Americans are not indigenous to America. Despite the proof that people pursue, that people put out and try to share and try to get people to recognize, right? Like I said one time, I said, okay, if haplogroup M from mtDNA, if African Americans have this, right, and it puts us in America over 30,000 years ago, how long have we actually been here if we have haplogroup L, which predates race? People still will spite you if you say these things. They'll spite you. You see? This is somebody right here who would be classified as an African American if he lived in some place like Grand Rapids, Michigan. He'd be classified as African American. And you still have some people who would dismiss this understanding and still deny it. And there you have people who are in tribes who deny it, right? And again, these are people who would, say things like, they'll say these things, right? And they'll say these things with the idea of offending someone who they may know, like this person right here. And I didn't forget to mention, Gullah Geechee, obviously, right? Everybody knows the Gullah Geechee. My grandfather is from North Carolina. My cousin's grandfather is from Georgia and also South Carolina, and Mississippi. So there's a Gullah Geechee link there. So the Monacan Indians on their website, they were sharing photos from a previous powwow, right? And one of the ladies, right, she was darker than me. They had a Facebook page. I guess they changed it to a group or something like that. But the lady, they removed the photo. They removed the picture. So you look at this lady and you say, man, she probably has to always been in that area. She probably has always had to be in that area, Lynchburg, Virginia, right? But you would ask somebody who's in the enrollment office, like, okay, say someone like me, they would say, my last names are not from that area, or, I'm not from that area, like, despite the fact that it's someone there who looks like me, right? So it just shows you the trickery that the BIA has allowed these tribes to practice. That's that whole thing though. Like, they want to remove the black factor, so they can jazz it up. They want to remove the black factor so they can say, oh, all the people here now, they look like this woman right here, this guy right here in the middle, and this guy right here on the far left. That's what they ultimately want to do. That's what they ultimately want to do. You know, they want to replace us. This is why Trump is getting rid of Haitians and bringing in Dutch South Africans. Because if black people mix, right, it's going to be a brightening effect. Haitians here, it's going to be a darkening effect. They don't want that. They don't want that. You know. So I want people to know, like, most of the tribes in America are on the East Coast. So when I name the Shinnecock, when I name the Yamasee, the Yuchi, the Lumbee, the Gullah Geechee, the Narragansett, all these are black tribes. The Wampanoag, you see? The Choctaw, Chata. You got Chief Warhorse. She'd be reclassified as African American anywhere else in America. But Slidell, Louisiana, right? They're acknowledging her and her presence and saying that she's indigenous. They got her an acknowledgement letter. They got a commemoration day down there for her. So this is just not some play. This is not that. This is not some play. You know? People know who they are. You know what I mean? So, and like, just don't rely on ancestry DNA. You know what I mean? Like, their their database as far as like picking people as like far as their DNA matches and stuff like that, it's kind of biased. I wouldn't say it's limited. I would say it's biased. Like, do things like Andros or My True Ancestry. Do those. Take your DNA from those companies, right? And do pay the fee and see what your genetic matches are. That's what I would say do. Those two companies, those two DNA companies, do those. And watch and see what your DNA says. It's gonna be out of sight, out of mind. You know? So I just want to come and just say that because I just got off a live stream and I was speaking on there and I was just like, you know what? I can kind of see why, you know, they did what they did with Lena Horne. Because like Maroons, we're always going to be in a battle with Octoroons and Quadroons and Musties because they're always going to be fighting for Maroon spot. They're always going to be fighting for that position to be the first and to be the because they already know, like, the United States, they got to relinquish our assets. So everybody is trying to take people land and, what I'm saying, like, say that they were here first and do that. So that's what they're going to try to do. But like, people are going to wake up and be like, nah, that's not happening. You know what I'm saying? Because you got everybody talking about it, but like everybody not acknowledging who the first true inheritors were. Who were the first true inheritors? Maroons. You see? The people from the West Indies. The darkest people on the continent. So we already hip to what's going on. So, we paying attention. Peace.